Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the first MEP officer for APAC and EMEA in the year 2015. Happy New Year, everybody. Those of you who are the first time to the call, what we're going to do here is an opportunity for you to ask questions that you have to the MEPs, and we will try to answer it and get the best results out of it. If you have any questions, you can directly jump on the call and ask the questions, or paste it in the chat, and we can take turns with the questions. And to introduce you, we have a wonderful group of MEPs. MEPs, can you please raise your hand, and I'll go one by one. Jason, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Jason Lawrence, Sales. So I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 8 years, predominantly as a sales and service cloud consultant, originally in the UK, currently for the last 4.5 years in Australia, Brisbane, Australia, where the weather is much warmer and more palatable for me. I run a small consultancy practice. We've got 5 employees and a couple of contractors. We do everything from Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Force.com, integration, development. So don't have any products, so don't ask me anything about ISV type questions. But happy to try and help out wherever I can.
Awesome. Next we have Abhinav Gupta. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So Abhinav this side. I'm in Salesforce ecosystem from I think 2008, and before that I was a Java J2E guy. So this ride so far is pretty exciting, and I'm like totally a Salesforce guy now. So apart from that, I'm running a consulting studio from India. We have almost 5 developers now, with 3 more joining next month, and we as of now are primarily building mobile apps on Salesforce One and Salesforce Mobile SDK Hybrid. And apart from that, we do usual Salesforce development as well, like APAC triggers and that stuff. And we might have something for all of you, like all developers, is a Chrome debug log extension, which is under cooking, which will hopefully make our life easier in debugging Chrome debug logs without jumping here and there. No more self-marketing from my side. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. Chris Edwards, you're up next. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris. I'm a MVP from the UK. I am a Salesforce administrator for an end customer, so therefore my specialisms are really in point-and-click development, so validation, workflow, process builder, that kind of thing. So yeah, and there'll be no sales and marketing for me at all because I'm for an end user.
Awesome. Mike, I know it's pretty noisy at your end, but could you please introduce yourself?
Hi guys, sorry about that. It's going berserk there. Hi, my name is Mike Gill. I'm Salesforce MVP as well. Been working with Salesforce since I think 2009. Yeah, I guess I'm on the consulting side, so I've worked for a number of different consulting companies, and I'm now doing a consulting role for FireEye. Pretty much jack of all trades, so yeah, don't mind coding or point and click.
Awesome. And myself, I'm Shiv. I'm a Salesforce and a Force.com MVP, and I love to help out everybody. And thank you all for joining the call today. We have one question from Malcolm. I think a couple of questions from Malcolm. I'm going to take the first one. Anyone else having problems with third-party apps, example NVM, resulting from the notification email changes in June 2015? Solution other than creating a dummy Salesforce NVM account. Malcolm, do you want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, we have New Voice Media, CTI, and all of a sudden, anybody who interacted with the system, I'm the API owner, and anybody interacting with the system got an email from me telling them they had a task, which was the phone call, which hadn't previously been sent. I think the task existed in the NVM setup, but nothing was actually sent. And the only workaround we've had is to create a dummy user without my name. And actually, that's stopped any emails going. But the worst case is it would not come from me. I just wondered if anybody else had problems in this area, because the notifications are mainly to allow the user to reject notifications or not, opt not to have them. But it seems to have had this side effect where if there's a task-based workflow happening in the background that helps something like New Voice Media, it has unpredictable results like sending out emails. And as our renewal time comes close, I'm keen not to be paying for an extra account to solve the problems.
Malcolm, have you tried reverting back the settings? So this was one of those settings that tells us, yeah, we're going to turn this on by default for every customer. I've got a few customers that have actually reverted it back to the old functionality.
Right. Okay, I think I have. That's just refusing the users the permission to refuse notifications.
It's sort of reverting back to it's the person creating the task chooses whether to notify the recipient, whereas the new methodology is the recipient decides whether they want notifications or not.
Okay, so it's more involved than just checking or unchecking a box.
No, to roll it back should just be unchecking or checking the box that was checked or unchecked when it's turned on.
Right.
Yeah, it's in activity settings in setup. It's called Enable User Control over Task Assignment Notifications.
Yes, I bet I've done that actually. Yeah, well, I won't take time on the call, but I'll go back through that. But I think I've done that because I read round it at the time.
Malcolm, are these tasks being created as open activities or completed?
I can't remember that either.
Because you should find, it sounds like they're open because I don't believe the notification goes out for anything that's completed.
Right.
But I would imagine a CTI integration would usually create completed tasks, wouldn't it, to log calls that have happened. Might be worth just looking into whether there's any trend between these being open or completed activities.
Yeah, and also I wonder if we don't have New Voice Media, but I do have another CDI, and I've got a feeling that it creates the task as an open task on call commencement and then closes the task on call sort of like completion.
Yes, the email symptoms, I've got one up here, and it has subject inbound call from and the number, new task to the user involved. Malcolm Healy has assigned you the following new task, and for more details, click the following link, which I guess will take me to the task, and I'll be able to tell you if it's open or closed.
And check when it was created versus modified to see whether it was opened at like the call commencement 9 o'clock and then closed at 9:05 when the call was finished. And you're right, it's probably only because it's being opened and the user has requested notification for every task creation assigned to them. So for you, I would say that the fix would be to revert back to the old method where the person creating the task, in this case New Voice Media, would tick the box to say notify, and I would imagine in the past they would have already have not ticked that box as they create the task.
Yes. Okay. It is completed, this task. There's I can't see any history on it. Created 13:53, last modified 13:54 on the day, and it's completed. So yes, it probably was raised as open, then closed by itself, or closed automatically. Yeah. Okay. Good steers. I'll go through all the menus and relive the how you turn things off thing. So that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. We also have one more question from Malcolm.
This other one. Yeah, this other one's very brief, actually. I've just discovered that you can make workflows a trigger by doing a spoof data loader update with a file with just the record ID in. And my only question was, is this approved best practice around the ecosystem? Are there any disadvantages? Because I find it very useful for these cases I'm involved in.
Yeah, done it many a time. Just do an update. If you want to force some workflow to run, just make sure that you're pretty sure what your workflows and your triggers and everything else are running. But yeah, to do a report of just the record IDs and then an Apex data loader update. Remember that won't fire workflows where the conditions are and then meets the criteria. It will only fire workflows on every update.
Yes. Okay. Good. This really is to make a change, populate the data resulting from the change, and then probably cancel the workflow after a small while anyway. So it's to back populate fields when you've just invented the field. That's brilliant. Okay. Very happy to get the reinforcement.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside is the last modified date and time and user is going to be you, which sometimes that's a bit annoying, but there's nothing you can do about that.
So the last modified is going to change anyway if the outcome of that workflow is to update fields, I guess. Yeah. Well, apart from sending lots of emails from New Voice Media, I'm well trusted. So thank you very much for that.
Very cool. Very good discussion, guys. Any other questions? We don't have any questions marked in the chat, but we can go ad hoc here. Any of you guys have any questions to discuss or any thoughts? I'm going to have to pick you guys by name. Anything in general? Satish Kumar, are you on the call with us? Do you have any questions? Dhananjaya, do you have any questions for the MPs? Or guys, if you have any questions that you would like to discuss in general, you can go about that too.
So I'll ask, so who's even got some vague interest in this nice new analytics cloud that's coming in the next release? And who started to do some of the training around it?
Yeah, actually I looked at a couple of documentation and we're still in talks with Salesforce to enable it in our org. And I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to be as powerful as it promised, because we currently use MicroStrategy and Tableau, and we want to see how it matches up. And if it works out, I think Analytics Cloud might be a product that we might go for. Nothing hands-on yet, but reading some documentation that Salesforce sent us over.
Yeah, definitely an exciting product, and in the years to come, once it's matured a little bit, I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. And again, another disruptor to the by putting something like this in the cloud, it was always felt quite difficult to do something so dynamic in the cloud. I know there's some cloud-based products out there, Burst and a few others. So it'd be interesting to see how it progresses. But it definitely looks like another Salesforce sexy product from the demo so far.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, that I agree. And actually, from my side, being a developer, I'm more interested in the ways we could extend it like the normal Salesforce offerings, what are APIs, like things around lenses which we can play around and tweak it so that it immediately reflects out on mobile and desktop offerings. So surely an exciting thing to watch for.
Sure. And did you guys get a chance to play with the process builder? Because I'm actually currently doing a POC for my company, and it looks very powerful. The combination of Process Builder plus flows, I feel it's going to save a lot of code for us, and we're almost at the limits of the Apex character limit, and we're using flows plus Process Builder to get around that. Any thoughts on that, guys? Any gotchas or anything that you've tried out and felt to be shared with the community?
There's definitely some gotchas around syntax, as Mike can tell you from first-hand experience. It seems to like having spaces between the parentheses of functions, so you need to sort of say is changed, open bracket, then a space, and then what you want to evaluate has been changed, and then another space, and then close bracket. So there's a few things around that I know are on the list. But in general, I agree. I think it's going to be hugely powerful. I did quite a lot of experimenting with it when it first came out, but I haven't done an awful lot since, really.
I've been trying. You've got to have a lot of patience. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I was
just going to say you have to have some patience, but I'm sure we've all got patience to just sit there and just try all these things. The syntax, as Chris has just mentioned, doesn't follow the same pattern that the standard workflow formula does. So you kind of just have to try everything. So I say patience is key. Still didn't get that exchange working, by the way, Chris. I don't think it's... Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going to have to mute. Hold on.
I think I agree on the patience point, because I have one customer who is using flows extensively, and they are having very complex flows, and we ran into very strange issues because we don't have production access, and admin on their side deploys something, and sometimes like trivial things like if a field permission is missing, flow is not reporting them, which makes the thing crash in a strange way, and it takes quite a while sometimes to compare all those fields and things to really know what's going on. So, patience is surely the key.
Definitely. But did you get a chance to try the Process Builder, which I feel that it can replace a lot of workflows? In the back end, it is visual workflow, but what I'm thinking is it gives you more control over which workflow to fire first, and then you have more actions, like you can send to chatter and outbound messages missing, but I think that can be taken care of by trigger flows. So that's what got me interested to see if I can replace some of the triggers. But yeah, it's good to know there are some gotchas that should be understood before we dive in.
I think speaking from an admin's perspective, I think some of the sexy stuff like post to chatter and automatic submit for approval is great, but I also think just being able to update any parent record or being able to cascade updates down to child records is going to be one of the bigger use cases for most orgs, or for a lot of orgs. And the only thing I think, I don't know if it's on the roadmap or not, I would hope and expect it is that at the moment you can update all child records, so you could say any task associated with this I want to close. It would be great to be able to filter that and say any child record that meets this criteria I'd like to be able to force this update to.
Yeah, that's a real big need, isn't it? I mean, we built one out thinking, we'll use this new toy and fantastic, and then I think it was the first, second, and third attempt we found 3 different idiosyncrasies that just meant we reverted back to triggers very quickly. But the child ones is a big one. I mean, you can imagine, account is no longer account is closed, so close all opportunities lost, but we actually only want to close the open opportunities lost. It's a bit of a no-brainer that one needs to be there, and it'll be exciting. And when it does, I think that'll improve the functionality. I know that when we first did one, we had the process builder working fine, but then we couldn't deploy a trigger for some reason that we never got to the bottom of. So in the end, we had to kill the process builder and build it back into our code base anyway. So, but again, it's in beta. We knew when we were playing with it, and we had the opportunity to play with it in beta, that we were going to find these issues, and a lot of them were well reported. quite a few of them by Chris. When I went, oh dear, I've come across this one. It's like, yeah, Chris had beat me to it by a few days. So like, yeah, but like Chris, we had a good play with it immediately after joining force. Thought it was great, but in the end, sort of like, certainly the last few months reverted back to just doing it via our development development team.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else exciting in the winter 15 or spring 15? Lose track now. Especially for us in Australia, it's hard to get our head around winter and spring when it's 30 odd degrees. So spring 15 release. Is there anything that somebody's saying? Yeah, this is the next. This is the must watch feature.
I'm pretty interested with the duplicate management, which is I've been trying that out too, but it was a bit buggy on my dev org. But the inbuilt duplicate management, you can create matching rules and create rules to identify duplicates in accounts, contacts, and leads. That I think would be very useful for most of the companies. And Safe Harbor, I believe, it should be expanding to custom objects as well. So I feel that's pretty useful.
Yeah, I think definitely always duplicate management, certainly when it is via human interaction. It should, anything that improves that is a good thing. So one of my larger customers, though, 99.9% of all of the records created are from APIs from one of 3 different source systems. So duplicate management is a nightmare in those scenarios. You certainly can't stop records being created or warn them. I also have read that even Web2Lead has troubles with duplicates at the moment. So it's whether that's still beta problem or not, but yeah, if you've got a Web2Lead, you want it to go in, even though it is a duplicate. I mean, well, ideally, of course, you want it to merge, but then merging records is also massively problematic, unless a human being's doing it. But it's just one to watch out for in duplicate management. Anything with APIs coming in, you just need to really test it carefully that it's not going to break your API or even just not create the record.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility to warn the user too, not just block it. You can just send a warning, which will still let them create the record, but just show an alert saying that, hey, this looks like there's another duplicate record. But yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the warning is the way to go to start with. Although I have seen a post, and I haven't looked at it in too much detail, that says even the warning is actually causing issues with Web2Lead. So one of the other MVPs, have you seen that post?
It rings a big bell with me. I think I've seen it in passing. I think another feature in Spring 15 that's quite cool to me is report notifications. So you can set up a notification in a similar way to you would schedule a report send, but it will check for certain criteria and then only alert you or only post to Salesforce One or whatever you want it to do when the report meets that criteria. So that looks pretty interesting. Should be a ton of use cases for that for management.
Yep. Is that limited just to Salesforce One, or is it available for the desktop?
No, it's basically the options of the alert that you can choose. You can have a notification sent to Salesforce One. It can post a chatter, or it could even just do a regular email notification, or also a custom action. Cool. I think they're the 4 options.
That's cool. That's very nice.
And then for me, one that I think is going to be useful for my org, and I can see it being quite applicable for a ton of others, is Sales Path. So the ability to give your reps a kind of a soft guided selling process. So depending on what stage of the opportunity they're at, you can put different informational messages in front of them, suggested next steps, to sort of guide them through that. Maybe now is a good time to send this case study, for example. Or you can also control what fields are displayed, so you can concentrate on them updating the most important information relevant to each sales stage. At the moment, that's only on Salesforce One. I'd love for that to be in the desktop app as well.
Does that effectively dynamic page layouts with sales stages?
Yes, I suppose it must be running from Lightning Component to do that, I guess, yeah.
Right. Nice.
I think it's dynamic in that sense that it depends on what stage you're at to what you see, but I think the actual components themselves will be relatively static, so there'll be a field set. The field set would you'd put different fields into it depending on what stage you're at. The informational message, I guess, is just one component that is populated with whatever text you specify for that stage. But I think just as a native guided selling platform or guided selling framework, that could be huge.
Mm.
Yeah. There's also one that I like. I'm not sure if it's useful for a lot of people, but I'm definitely looking into it from the dev side of things. It's a new annotation called Add Test Setup, which helps you create test data for the test class. And the biggest advantage is that the test setup method runs first when the execution of the class is invoked. And the other advantage is if your test method changes the setup data, after the execution of the test method, the data resets back to the setup data. So I feel that there are a lot of use cases to make a generic data set that we can use across. So that's pretty neat from the dev side. Awesome. So guys, any questions in general? Last call for questions? Or let's just give back the turn today to everybody. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in for the first call. We're going to have this MVP office hours every other week. So please do join in, share your thoughts, and we had a very good conversation. I'll be posting the link back to the MVP chatter group, and do join the chatter group if you're not already part of it to be part of these great conversations. Thank you, everybody. Let's meet after another week. Cool?
Thanks a lot.
Bye from Malcolm.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.